What's going on, guys? I am back to break down this 5-game NBA DFS slate on Draftkings and Fanduel for Christmas Day. Excited to get into it. Got a little bit of the mobile setup going on here, so things might look a little bit different, but did my best to replicate the typical setup, so hopefully you can hear me loud and clear. If the quality is not quite as good, I apologize, but still going to get this out to you guys, give you the winning plays to get you in the cash for this Christmas Day slate. We have $1 million up for grab on DraftKings. FanDuel rolled out a pretty big tournament as well. 100,000 up top there. So looking forward to getting into it, giving you guys the top plays to win some money as always. Don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my lock of the night, fan favorite segment on the channel. And hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell if you do enjoy this content. It does greatly help me out to continue growing this channel. And if you are getting very serious about NBA DFS, I would highly recommend my NBA DFS premium package over here on Patreon. You get access to my premium NBA projections, NBA data sheet, player stats, team stats, play contact stats, core plays, and the NBA Discord chat access, which I'm also offering at a sale all month of December, giving back to you guys during the holiday season. You can hop in the Discord package for only $1 the rest of December, usually a $10 value, so check that out. And check out the sponsor of the video, Parlay Play. If you're not familiar with Parlay Play, check them out, player props format. You go over here. I'm going to get the picks out on Christmas Day. If you don't follow me on Twitter, follow me over there at KJK_DFS. We're still waiting on some injury news, all that fun stuff for this holiday slate. So when we do get that, I'll make sure that I tweet out my pick over here on Parlay Play. So follow me over there to get your pick there. When you sign up today using the link in the description, you get an instant match deposit up to $50. You also get $10 risk-free in entries. And sign up using that promo code today, KJK003, the link below in the description. And with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get into this breakdown. Winning some money on this Christmas slate. So the first game, we have Atlanta taking on New York Knicks. I just got some confirmation coming through on my end that Trae Young is expected to be out. So expect him to continue to be out in this game. Obviously, that's a big piece of news. Definitely going to give a big bump up in usage through some of these other options on the Atlanta Hawks side. As far as an over-under in this game. This game comes in with a 211 over-under with a 6-point spread in favor of the New York Knicks, so not nearly as high as some of the other games we'll get to. We have a 226.5 over-under game in the Brooklyn LA Lakers game that I'm sure we're going to be getting a lot of exposure to, so for that reason, I don't really think it's necessary to go to too many pay-up options in this game. You have Julius Randle priced all the way up to 10-2 over here on DraftKings. I don't think that we necessarily have to pay up for him. There's some better options in that Brooklyn LA Lakers game, like I said, that I think I'm going to like for pay-up options. Clint Capella listed as out as well on the Atlanta side. Derrick Rose listed as out, so that should mean that Kemba Walker should continue to start at only a 6-1 price tag. That's too cheap for a guy that's played 40, 43 minutes, 37 minutes the last 3 times out, putting up 43, 41, 70 DraftKings points last time out, dropping 44 real-life points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. So Kemba Walker's price tag has not adjusted. He certainly will be a priority on this slate for us in this game. Like I said, I don't know if the pay-up options are necessarily going to be. However, on the Atlanta side of things, with there being no Trae Young, with there being no Clint Capella, John Collins at 7-8, also a very good pay-up option. All the usage should be flowing through him, although it's a low total gain. His rebounding upside should be a lot higher with there being no Clint Capella as well. And for that reason, certainly have interest in him. We talked about Kemba, his price tag going to like him. Cam Reddish, Emmanuel Quickly, Kevin Huerter, all these guys being listed as questionable. Now DeLon Wright's listed as questionable on the Atlanta side. Obviously, that could turn this into an even crazier value slate as far as the Atlanta side of things, where we're really taking some risks on some really low-priced options over here on DraftKings. Because, quite frankly, if there's no Huerter, there's no Reddish, there's no DeLon Wright, there's no Danilo Gallinari, I mean, this team's going to be so depleted. There's no DeAndre Hunter, no TLC, Luala Cabro. So that would mean when you're looking at the Atlanta Hawks roster, you know, we're dealing with guys like Skylar Mays, Bogdanovich, Cam Reddish, all going to be starting, all going to be playing a lot of minutes. Gorgie Jang, who's only 3'6". So this game, while it's not the best game environment, while it's not the fastest up-paced thing in the world, I will say that there could certainly be some very big value opening up on this Atlanta Hawks side. We've seen that Mr. Skylar Mays is producing right around a fantasy point per minute on the season. The fact that he's only 3'4", if he does indeed get the start. Last time out, his minutes were cut a little bit short. This time around, well, last time 33 minutes, but the time before his minutes were cut a little short. He only played about 9 minutes, and for that reason, didn't produce. But then last time we saw him play 33 minutes, he put up 35 DraftKings points. So at 3'4", going to be one of the best value plays on the slate, especially if all these guys are out. He'll be an absolute lock. Very easy to fit in your lineups. And that's where I would be looking to in this first game. Second game on the slate, we have Boston taking on Milwaukee. As far as a total in this game right now comes in with a 219.5 over under with a 3-point spread in favor of the Milwaukee Bucks. So definitely a little bit of a faster paced game. It's expected to stay close. Milwaukee, Boston. We're dealing with some injury news once again that we're going to have to be monitoring. Obviously, the biggest piece of news is going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo. He is listed as questionable. Whether he returns is obviously massive news because that impacts this Milwaukee rotation in a big way. I'm sure the NBA would love to have him on the big stage on Christmas Day. You know, that's obviously this is the biggest slate of the year. So if these guys return, Bobby Portis listed as questionable as well. If he returns, and Giannis returns, there's going to be a lot less usage to go around on this Milwaukee side. So it's going to, Drew Holiday priced up at 9.3, probably not going to have any interest in him. Same thing for Chris Middleton at 8.3. Respectable plays, but the fact of the matter is, why would we want to pay for these guys with inflated price tags if Giannis, Bobby Portis return? If those guys indeed do continue to be out, these guys are obviously going to be big priorities. Both Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday going to have a lot of usage. On the Boston side, starting to get really healthy. Ennis Freedom was ruled out. Josh Richardson was ruled out, so that opens up a little bit of usage off the bench. We should see more solidified minutes for Robert Williams as well if Al Horford continues to sit on the sideline. So that's certainly a big piece of news. If he is indeed out, Robert Williams all the way down here to 5.8 on DraftKings, going to be a phenomenal play. Very good fantasy point producer. We saw him play 34 minutes last time out, 53 DraftKings points. And it's really just about opportunity when it comes to Robert Williams. So if he does indeed get that opportunity, those guys continue to be out. Going to be phenomenal play. Dennis Schroeder, Marcus Smart for me. Decent mid-range plays, but we have Jaylen Brown back now. We have Jason Tatum back. They're going to be kind of sucking away usage. So maybe playing those cheaper guys if you are indeed fading Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, but chances are, all the usage is going to be flowing through these guys. I continue to say Jaylen Brown's price tag is, I feel like I've been a broken record the last 2 years of covering NBA content because it's just true on DraftKings. Every single year, Jaylen Brown offers about the same upside. He's always about $1,000 cheaper than Jason Tatum. So whenever I see these guys, same positional eligibility. In some senses, obviously, Jason Tatum has the power forward eligibility as well, but I'd much rather take that 1,000-point discount on Jaylen Brown just because I think his ability to surpass the upside that he's priced at is that much easier to do, and they kind of have similar upside, similar output when they're both in the game. So that would be my approach there. Golden State Warriors taking on the Phoenix Suns, 5 o'clock game as far as the total in this one. This game comes in with a 217.5 over under with a 5.5 point spread in favor of the Phoenix Suns. So expected to be a reasonably paced game. Once again, expected to stay close. We do have one game in the Dallas-Utah game that we'll talk about that's expected to blow out. So this one certainly could remain close. If you look at my defensive half-court and putback sheet, I can tell you right now because I have it memorized off the top of my head that these two teams are top 5 in the league defensively. So that's the only thing. Do I really want to target a game where both teams are really solid defensively with these guys priced up and both teams are starting to get pretty healthy when we have some other spots that we talked about? I'm not too sure. There are some injury opportunities to take advantage of. There's no Damian Lee, James Wiseman, Andre Iguodala on the Golden State Warriors side. There continues to be no Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, so that's obviously going to give a big bump up in usage to some of these Golden State Warriors guys, namely Draymond Green and Steph Curry at the top. But like I said, the question becomes, is it worth paying that price tag for these guys in a defensive, slow-paced game? When we have the Brooklyn LA Lakers game that we'll talk about, I'm not quite sure that it is. The mid-range guys and the cheaper guys in the Golden State Warriors, I do think make a lot of sense. For instance, a Gary Payton at 4.3, very cheap. Could be a guy that sees extended run with these injuries. He saw 33 minutes last time out. He put up 30 DraftKings points. Very good fantasy point per minute producer. So him, the cheaper Golden State Warriors guys, I do think makes sense. So starts with Payton, Otto Porter Jr., Toscano Anderson, both very respectable fantasy point producers. They're priced in the upper 3K range. They're going to be smash plays in the spot that are priced way too cheap. So yeah, I think that we could definitely look to this game for some Golden State Warriors value. As far as my overall interest in the pay-up options, not too sure. We have Bielitsa on the Golden State Warriors side as well. Jonathan Kuminga, his minutes haven't been all that great as far as Bielitsa in his run the last game out. Try to pop it up here. He played 22 minutes, so maybe really locking in on the Gary Payton, Otto Porter Jr. Those two guys going to be phenomenal value plays. On the other side, the Phoenix Suns starting to really get healthy. You have Chris Paul, DeAndre, and Devin Booker all being back. My strategy, if I am targeting this team, would probably be to select one of these guys of the three. Whoever I think is going to have the highest ceiling game is priced respectively. And the fact of the matter is that's been Devin Booker. Devin Booker's come back. He's kind of taken over. He's had a lot more usage, a lot more upside than we've seen out of Chris Paul. So I do think that he would be my preferred option at 8.7. He's put up 48 and 56 DraftKings points the last 2 times out. really in attack mode, shooting a lot. 23 shot attempts last time out. So if I'm running it back on the Phoenix side, I do think that he would be my preferred option. Brooklyn taking on the LA Lakers. So this is the game that I've been talking about quite a bit, but for good reason. Okay, so James Harden is expected to return in this one. That's obviously a big piece of news. He's been out for quite some time. Him returning is going to cut into quite a bit of usage when it comes to Kevin Durant, of course. Kevin Durant is listed as questionable. So, big piece of news. If Kevin Durant is ruled out for some reason, obviously James Harden is going to become one of the best plays on the slate. And without a doubt, would become, pretty much an absolute lock. So James Harden, definitely going to have a lot of interest in him if there is no Kevin Durant. Regardless, this game does have the fastest pace on the Christmas Day slate. It's a 226.5 over/under with a 1-point spread in favor of the Brooklyn Nets. Expected to be close. Expected to be high scoring. Both these teams have some absolute powerhouses. And I'm really going to like paying up for these guys. So there's no Anthony Davis on the LA Lakers side. So Russell Westbrook, LeBron James both become top priorities for us. Obviously, a lot of usage going around. My preferred option would be LBJ. He's just producing at a higher rate, offers more shooting efficiency. He's put up 63 and 61 in 2 of the last 3 games, 60-plus fantasy points. So taking on a Brooklyn squad that really hasn't been that great defensively, especially if there's no Kevin Durant, no one's going to be slowing down LeBron James. So LeBron James, if there's no Kevin Durant, it's going to become even that much better of a play. Love him overall as is. And when you're going down to some of these cheaper guys, on the Brooklyn side, you do have LaMarcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin, both listed as questionable. Obviously, another very big piece of news. If these guys are out, that's going to open up a bunch more minutes in the Bigs rotation on the Brooklyn side, and some bench guys that don't usually see a lot of minutes might become a lot more viable. Obviously, Nicholas Claxton at 4-5 would become an absolute phenomenal play. Very good fantasy point producer. Only 4-5. That's too cheap. As far as the Brooklyn roster and whether they're going to be able to play this game, I guess that's the next question with all these guys being ruled out. I mean, they need a minimum of 8 players. It's Christmas Day. I think that the NBA is going to do everything that they can to have all these games play. So I don't expect any of these to be canceled, but you never know in the times we're living in right now. But I would be prepared to take advantage of some of this Brooklyn value. And as long as that spread stays at a 1-point spread for Vegas and this game's expected to stay close, I'm going to be getting a lot of exposure. On the LA Lakers side, the pay-up options. On the Brooklyn side, the pay-up options. If Kevin Durant is ruled in, he's obviously still going to be a viable play. James Harden would be a viable play. I would be encouraging people to be getting 2 of the studs from this game in their lineups. I do think my preferred options would be LeBron James on the LA Lakers side, regardless. On the Brooklyn side, wouldn't mind taking that discount at only 10-7 on James Harden in comparison to Kevin Durant's 11-6 price tag. Similar to what we talked about earlier. Kind of similar upsides for these guys, so why not take advantage of the discount while you can. You have Dwight Howard, Carmelo Anthony, both priced pretty reasonably as well in the low range for these LA Lakers squad, but they're starting to get a little bit healthy. Taylor Horton-Tucker, certainly the third option. I do think that he would be my preferred option if I'm going to someone else on this LA Lakers side, but we have so much value in that Atlanta game we talked about. The Golden State Warriors side, we have some really cheap values, so I don't really think it's going to be necessary to be going to value and elsewhere, and we already talked about 2 spots we have solid value. We also have New York Knicks value with those guys dealing with injuries, so last game on the slate is going to be my least favorite game on the slate. This game by far is the worst one. Dallas taking on Utah. Don't like targeting Utah's defense. They're phenomenal defensively. It's a 12.5-point spread in favor of the Utah Jazz. It's only a 214.5 over/under. I really think the best move here, I wouldn't be paying up for anyone in this game. Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Kristaps Porzingis. These pay-up options, it's just not for me. I don't think that we're going to be prioritizing our pay-up options on this Christmas slate. There's way better options. So I wouldn't be really focusing on that. If anything, maybe taking some guys that are cheaper. If this game turns into a blowout, that could maybe surpass their price tag. So maybe like a Hassan Whiteside, who's only 3.7 on the Utah side, who's a very good fantasy point producer. And if he does indeed get, let's say, 25 minutes because it turned into a blowout and gets run, he could really pay off for you big in your tournament lineups. Maybe a Rudy Gay, who's only 3.5. However, he's a little bit on the elder side, a veteran guy. I don't really think they're going to want to push his minutes. I think that's a little bit more risky. Dwight Powell at 3.3 on the Dallas side, especially if there's no Kristaps Porzingis. Going to make a lot of sense. Obviously, as a value play. Problem is, Rudy Gobert, the matchup, the Utah defense, I just really don't like targeting. We talked about some other really fantastic values in that price range, like a Skylar Mays on the Atlanta Hawks. So, this last game, by far going to have the least amount of interest for me on the slate. So I'm not all too intrigued to go there. Then looking over on FanDuel, for you guys that do play FanDuel, before I let you guys go and give you my lock of the night, of course, we got a lock in over here. Probably going to be around the same thing. I mean, like I said, I'm going to have my mobile set up here, so it's not quite as easy to decipher through my stats and everything that I have going on with my typical setup here. So I'm just kind of looking along with you guys as far as salary. Kevin Durant 11-7. LeBron James at 10-9 would be my top priority pay-up option. Obviously, if Giannis is ruled in, that might change things. If there is James Harden, no Kevin Durant, obviously he's going to become, top priority on the slate, would become a phenomenal play. So yeah, a lot of what we talked about over there on DraftKings as far as anyone else and seeing where they're priced at. Like, let's look at where these Atlanta Hawks are priced at over here on FanDuel. At the point guard position, we talked about Mays, so let's see here if it'll load up for me. Yeah, it might be a little bit difficult to be deciphering this right now, to be honest with you, but I think we did a pretty good job of breaking down the slate overall, keeping your eyes on the price tags on FanDuel, and just compare the two websites and take advantage where you can. Robert Williams priced at 5.6. I can tell you right now, just looking at that, the power forward position, he's going to be a phenomenal play if there's no Al Horford. Priced in the mid 5K range, produces at a very high rate on FanDuel. You get 3 points for blocks and steals. So he'd become a phenomenal play. Looking at the center position on FanDuel specifically, and seeing they typically will misprice a few centers, so I'm interested to see the pricing over here. John Collins at 8.5, they did a pretty good job of pricing up, so he's still a great play, but not quite as cheap as what we were accustomed to targeting before. DeMarcus Cousins at 6K, if there continues to be no Bobby Portis, could be an intriguing play because he produces at such a high rate, but I do think I'd much rather go to a Robert Williams if there is indeed no Al Horford. So, yeah, that is my overall breakdown here. Feeling pretty confident about the slate, especially once we get confirmation on some of this injury news. I think we're going to kind of know exactly where we're going. And with that being said, I guess a little bit before we do know that injury news, I got to give you guys my lock of the night. Or the lock of the day, I should say. We got day basketball for Christmas, so let's get into it. And my lock of the night tonight is going to be LeBron James in the highest total game on this slate with a 226.5 over-under with a 1-point spread, expected to be fast-paced, expected to stay close. And we know with no Anthony Davis, LeBron James gets a huge usage bump on Christmas Day. On the big show, I expect LeBron to put up a big performance here. Triple-double upside. We could easily see him score 70-plus DraftKings points, 70-plus FanDuel points, and he will be a big priority for me on this slate. Get him in your lineups because he is my lock of the night. So there you have it, guys. LeBron James, get him in your lineups, and that is all from me in this one. If you enjoy the content, if you could please take a second to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. That would be greatly appreciated. Go out and check out the KJK DFS links, link below in the description. Check out the NBA DFS Premium Package. You get access to all this stuff. Like I said, high value. I think it's going to return you your investment very, very quickly. Price very reasonably expected compared to other things across the industry. Check it out. You can also check out the Parlay Play app, sponsor of the channel. Use that code KJK003. Use the link below in the description. And last but not least, happy holidays, guys. Hope you're having a great holiday. Hopefully we're able to win some money on this slate. And yeah, guys, so that is all for me. Get LeBron James in your lineup. Lock of the night. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and we will see you in the next one.